designed a Charge Blade build for the Monster Hunter Rise endgame. This is the final form of my elemental Charge Blade, barring any crazy augments I might luck into when I get bored enough to burn through 1,000 Royal Amber Essence. This one is specifically for fire. It's doing over 6,000 points of damage on my best hits and still averaging in the thousands overall. My goal with this build was to get as close to the maximum fire attack as I could without relying on health draining skills to do so. I'm already terrible at managing my health, so I just want to focus on using the weapon. The second requirement is that I wanted to make one fire build that would work well against all tiers of monsters. To do this, I maxed out my blocking level to account for the stronger opponents. It's wasted on monsters like Arzuros who don't have those big powerful hits, even though they feel like that when you miss the block. But removing my guard armor skill doesn't net me much more damage anyway. I use Axe Hopper a lot, so I don't want to have to rely on counter peak performance or ready stance for blocking, as that would require me to do a scroll swap in order to access it. My element playstyle is very simple. I like ultras. I use ultras. Axe Hopper allows me to change direction at the last second, 360 degrees. I'll still use regular ultras, but only for times when I have the monster openings memorized, and that works a lot better in solo play too. So where's all this damage coming from? 2 words: Dragon Conversion. This skill will take your elemental resists and convert them to elemental attack power. It's fairly useless if you don't have high resists, and most standard builds have terrible resists. So what I've done for this build is to boost my resists as high as I could in order to maximize the subsequent boost to elemental attack. I've used the Furious armor skill as well as element resistance armor skills, augments, and food skills to do this. One thing this build is missing is guard up. I might try to augment it in at some point, but I don't miss it. The build doesn't suffer at all since Charge Blade can get very mobile. Evading the few unblockable attacks is really easy to do with Morphing Advance. Even the standard sword moveset is very mobile, and I don't spend much time standing around in axe mode anyway. Yes, this playstyle requires a lot of wire bugs. That's where the Wind Mantle comes in. 2 points of this ensures I always have a wire bug ready to go. How do I get so much elemental attack power? Dragon Conversion, Resists, and Furious. Your resists max out at 50, so the maximum number of resist points you can convert is 250. The conversion rate is something like 4-1 or 5-1, I forget exactly which. Furious 3 is giving me 20 points of resist for each element. So that means I need to get each one as close to 30 as possible. Anything over 30 will be wasted, and anything under 30 is leaving elemental attack power on the table. I use 3 methods to boost my resists. First, the augments. You can get a lot of resist points through augmenting. Also, augmented slots are worth a lot too. A single level 1 slot can add 6 points of resist by using a resist echo. Second method for boosting resists is just that, adding as many resist echoes as I can, strategically of course, to get me as close to 30 as I can get. Third method is food skills. Using skewers, you can get 20, 10, and I believe 6 points of resist for any 3 elements. I'm just a few points short of maximum, and I'm okay with that. So looking at these armor skills, where are all the attack and affinity boosting skills? For an elemental ultra build, they just aren't necessary. Raw damage accounts for something like 30 to 50 points of damage on each elemental file. So these kinds of builds let you go all in on elemental boosts. Those 2 points of Wind Mantle are amazing. They give me access to near infinite wire bugs. So let's take a look at these armor skills. Fire attack, obvious choice, max that out. Guard 5, maxed out. The attack boost is completely incidental. You don't need any attack boost on this build. Stamina surge, again, completely incidental. 3 resistances maxed out. That's amazing. 3 different resistance skills maxed out. That equals damage. Rapid Morph is here, not so much for the damage as for the speed at which you switch into axe mode. It doesn't help with axe hoppers, but if I'm ever stuck in axe mode and I need to switch back quickly, this can save my ass. Furious gives me insane resists. Embolden maxes out my blocking capability. Element Exploit is even more element damage. Burst as well. Dragon Conversion is the big one. Latent power is meaningless. Load shells allows me to charge up my weapon a lot faster and get full files. And then 2 points in thunder resistance, which is even more damage. Teostra Blessing, only 2 points required there. That's going to boost your fire attack by 10%. There's the 2 points of Wind Mantle. One of those points I have on an augment. And in fact, it's on the Risen Kushala boots, which already has 1 point. So those boots on their own are amazing with that augment. Critical Eye incidental, Master's Touch is incidental. Sharpness is not a factor with your file damage. It is a factor in being able to charge up your weapon. You don't want to be bouncing off the monster. It'll make you vulnerable and a lot slower to charge up. There's 1 point in fire resistance, so that's damage. Sleep Res, Free Meal, Kushala Blessing, all incidental skills, and then the Blood Right. A single point of Blood Right is actually pretty cool. You're going to get part breaks very quickly with this build, even without part breaker. And a single point of Blood Right is amazing when you're hitting for 5,000 points of file damage. Food skills are designed to balance out my lowest resistances, and you can see I've got my fire attack up to 222, and all that affinity is purely incidental. It's not going to help you at all. The armor set is not that difficult to make, but it is an endgame armor set. So you're going to have to fight Valstrax a bit, Risen Kaiser, and Risen Kushala, and you're going to have to do a bit of melding if you want to copy this build exactly. I've got a Furious 3 talisman, and these are not as rare as you might think. A lot of people have told me they've gotten these, and in fact have gotten better than this. Now, if you don't have a Furious 3 talisman, maybe you've got a Dragon Conversion 3 talisman. I've seen those too. There's always a lot of options for duplicating the builds that I put together. If you can't make the exact thing I've done in terms of using the exact pieces of armor and decorations, there's always alternatives. And that's why I recommend using a set builder, which can customize the build for the talismans that you have. But if you're just looking for something to target, that's my build. I'm really enjoying it. And as you can see from the gameplay, not the greatest Charge Blade user in the world, but I'm getting through. And the damage is insane. It really is. With these special investigations, the single most important thing is to relearn the monsters. If you don't really know the monsters inside and out, you're going to have a bad time. These special monsters are insane. It's like I'm starting the game all over again. So I really have to pay attention and be strategic. I can't just brute force my way through it. Yeah, even with 5,000 points of damage, brute force still doesn't work. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you've got anything similar, if you got any improvements to suggest, love to hear them. See you in the next video.